Alrighty, it is Tecmo Tuesday time, and this is a bit of a short break in between my seasons. Unfortunately, we lost the Super Bowl last week in heartbreaking fashion to the 49ers. There's just, it's still, to this day, it guts me. It sucks to have, put all that work and effort into it and then invested all that time, and then you get your heart pulled out of your chest with a loss like that on one play in overtime with all this everything on the line. But that's the nature of the beast. That's how it works. Somebody's going to be on the losing end of those kind of games in those big moments. So unfortunately, it was us. Move on to the next season. But for now, we'll just do the Pro Bowl. I What I did was I took the stats of the season in the league leaders for every position and basically picked the top players from each position. The offensive line I had to I basically just went to the team rankings and I took the highest rated offenses, figuring that the offensive lines were very important involved in that. So, for for the center, I did the total offense. So, well, let me get to the I'm in the AFC. So, for example, the center was offense and defense. So I had the Bill center, who was Ken Hull. For passing offense, I figured the tackles were more important in that regard. So the top two, I took a tackle from each of those teams, and then rushing yards those are for the guards. So Steelers and Bills had their guards, and that's just the example for that. Everything else, it was mostly stats. I just I came up with a little point system for each category. Took the top five of running backs, for example, and gave them points based on how well they fared in each category. And I took those points and added them up, and bam, we got ourselves our Pro Bowl rosters. So, I'll show the what the teams, the Pro Bowlers looked like for the AFC, which was where as the Colts we represented. We've got Jeff George for the Colts at quarterback. He had a really good season, 2,700 yards passing. 35 touchdowns to 3 picks. That is quite the number, even though there was actually one phantom pick in there that I threw an interception and the guy fumbled it back to us. So really there should be 4 interceptions, but hey, what are you going to say? 187 passer rating. It's beyond perfect. It's completely impossible. And 41 yards rushing on the ground for the hell of it. Warren Moon got the backup quarterback in there. He had 37 touchdowns and 14 picks, 3,100 rushing, 3,100 passing yards. So he did throw for more passing yards than George did, but didn't have as good of a rating. Mostly to do with that touchdown interception ratio. He actually did throw more touchdowns, but it was only by a couple. Then we had Thurman Thomas for the Bills at running back. Barry Foster is the second running back, and then the backups Kevin Turner for the Patriots, and Steve Smith for the Raiders. For wide receivers, we had it's funny, these are it doesn't make any sense that in some cases you had not so much for maybe these positions, for example, but the defensive stats were kind of fucking weird. I'll get to them in a minute. Willie Davis for the Chiefs. You had Mark Jackson for the Broncos. Reggie Langhorne we represented. He got in there mostly for his touchdown total. Nate Lewis for the Chargers. Andre Reed should be on here, at least one of the Oilers. But, hey, this is how it turned out. It was a weird season. Kerry Cash, another one of our guys at tight end. Last season, we didn't have anybody on offense make the Pro Bowl. We didn't have anybody on defense make the Pro Bowl. I think Ron Stark, the punter, was our lone Pro Bowl representative. No, I take that back. Pat Beach did make the team as the tight end, but he wasn't the starter. I think he was on the bench, if I'm not mistaken, anyway. Kent Hull is the center from Buffalo. Steelers, Colton Hasselrig is the left guard. And Jim Richer for the Bills is also representing the Bills is at right guard. Russ Freeman for the Broncos, and Mark Dennis for the Dolphins. Defense. Now, the reason is why I was saying that the stats were weird is that, when I was looking up the leaders in interceptions, there were so many not interceptions, sacks. There were so many safeties getting sacks, and I mean, I don't know what was going on with the simulation. I know that this is a hack, a mod of Tecmo, the 1992 Tecmo season, but whatever went on with it, I mean, I think it kind of fucked around with who should be getting some of these stats, because there's no reason for a strong safety to be leading the league in sacks. So there was, I kind of tinkered around with it, and I just came up with the best roster that I possibly could. And I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. I mean, fuck, this is just a Pro Bowl. Leslie O'Neal for the Chargers, James Jones for the Browns as the defensive tackle, and Washington for the Jets rounds off the defensive line for the AFC. Carl Mecklenburg for the Broncos is outside linebacker. Michael Brooks for Denver, also from Denver. And then David Little make up the inside, and James Francis is the other outside linebacker from Cincinnati. Also from Cincinnati, Rod Jones for the had 15 picks at cornerback, and then Wyman Henderson from Denver is the other corner. And then you have Henry Jones, the strong safety. Eugene Robinson. Yes, Eugene Robinson has 14 sacks, but he did have 8 picks as well, so he definitely deserves a Pro Bowl nod. Jeff Jager for the Raiders. He made 13 of 14 field goals. Not a lot of attempts, but, he got almost all of them. And then Ron Stark, of course, led the league in punt average. Didn't have as many, not as many. I think he had like a 70-something yard average for his last year, which is ridiculous. For the NFC, you got Troy Aikman at quarterback from Dallas, and Brett Favre for Green Bay is the second stringer. Then you got Herschel Walker from Philly. First string running back, Emmitt Smith from the Cowboys. Craig Ironhead Hayward for the Saints is the third string, and Ernest Biner for the Redskins rounds it off. For the receivers, you got Randall Hill for the Cardinals. See, this is where it's funny, where the hell is Jerry Rice, for example? Flipper Anderson for the Rams. Sterling Sharp for Green Bay, and Andre Rison for the Falcons. That's a pretty good receiving lineup. Jackie Harris for the Packers. I thought that Kerry Cash had a strong season. Jackie Harris lit it up. 45 catches for 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. Crazy. Jim Price for the Rams is the other tight end. And then for the offensive line, you got Frank Winters for center from the Packers. Mike Schad for the Eagles is the left guard. Bob Cratch for the Giants. Tootie Robbins from Green Bay is the left tackle, and Bob Whitfield for the Falcons makes up the other end of it. Tim Harris for the 49ers, and Wayne Martin for the Saints are the defensive ends, and Al Noga is the defensive tackle from the Vikings. John Roper for the Bears is the outside linebacker. The other outside linebacker is Carlos Jenkins from the Vikings. And the inside linebackers are Tyrone Stowe from the Cardinals and Robert Jones from the Cowboys. Then from the corners, you've got Audrey McMillan from the Vikings and Ricky Reynolds from Tampa. And then you've got Brad Edwards from Washington and Mark Carrier from the Bears rounds off the secondary. Martin Anderson makes another Pro Bowl at kicker, 14 of 15 for field goals, so he only missed one as well and represents the NFC. And then Tommy Barnhart, the other Saint, special teamer at punter. So those were the rosters. I figured I'd give them a quick acknowledgement. I am going to I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to sim it and just watch, because even though I have 3 Colts on the Pro Bowl, I mean from the offense, I don't know. I kind of look at this like I would not be coaching this game. I'd just be. My hands are off. My guys are out there, but I'm not involved in it. Plus, I kind of just feel like, for the hell of it, just letting it go and seeing what happens. It's an exhibition game. It's just for shits and giggles. To be perfectly honest, I do not even fucking remember what happened in the last Pro Bowl from last season. I do not know. Jeff George is running. Wow, he got, what was it? He had 40 yards rushing for the whole season. He just ran for, he got clobbered just now. And he threw a pick. He only had 3 all season, but Reynolds makes the pick. You know, this CPU is going to have a harder time with Jeff George than I did. And Emmitt Smith is going to take this one maybe to the house. Nope. He was caught up with... Yeah, because his stats are low. You know, I managed to get some good numbers out of him in spite of his numbers. So, you know, I'm going to do one more season with the Colts. I'll do the 93 season. It was the last year that the Colts were really bad during that era. The early 90s were not kind to the Colts. They weren't even that great in 94 either. I think they still weren't a playoff team or anything, but they definitely were improved. But 93 was, you know, it was the last year that George was there at quarterback. I feel like it was a turning point. So I feel like doing a Colts trilogy, you know, why not finish it off? And I want to see how the team responds to that devastating Super Bowl loss. Anyway, the NFC got a field goal out of that drive. And George, you got a guy, throw it. Not to him, it's another pick. Oh man, this is McMillan. This is going to be rough, perhaps, for... he's thrown 2 passes and he's got 2 interceptions. If he throws another one, then it will have been as many picks as he had all regular season, not counting the phantom pick that should have counted. So he and if he runs for like another 15 yards too, that's another thing. If and good job by the AFC defense there to hold him. If George runs again and gets, I don't know, like 15 yards or so, he'll have matched his total rushing yards for the whole season that I had under him. It was like 40 yards, something like that. And one more pick. If he throws another pick, then a fumble. So there it is. It's not and that's going to be maybe a touchdown. It is. Wow. So George has thrown 2 passes. He has 2 picks and a fumble. I don't know if George had any fumbles as the quarterback in the regular season. I know that he fumbled in the playoffs. In 1 quarter of this Pro Bowl, he has as many turnovers as he did in the regular season, maybe. You know, they don't have the fumble stat in the they don't keep track of that in the you know, in the game itself. Obviously, you know, you can go back and look, but I don't know off the top of my head. And there's the 3rd pick. So he now has 3 passes, 3 picks, 1 fumble, and a partridge in a pear tree. He has thrown just as many interceptions in a quarter and a half. Not even. Basically in a quarter and change as he had an entire season. And he had another guy open, too. I mean, it's the CPU's logic is a little flawed, if you haven't noticed. Like, right now, Aikman should not have thrown that, but hey, Flipper bailed him out. Made the catch in coverage. He did have the wide receiver at the top. I think that was Randall Hill up top. Yeah, he was wide open down the sideline, but... Yeah, you got the completion. Can't complain about that. Aikman hands off to Emmitt like he does in you know, every week. So surprised, despite the fact that the AFC has thrown 3 interceptions and fumbled the ball for a touchdown, this defense has been and a missed field goal. So they've only given up 10 points despite all of that. The only reason why it's even 10-0 is because of that fumble. All those interceptions only led to a field goal. Hey, what do you know? George completed a pass, and Thurman's gonna get a first down out of it. He could have been tackled behind the line for negative yardage, and that would have been fitting. And Thomas is again gets a first down. You know, before these passes, Georgia's stat sheet would read like a Siberian weather report. It was not looking good. And Barry Foster's going to try to get the ground game going. It's probably a good idea. And there you go. All the more reason right there. The AFC, despite turning the ball over 4 times in the first quarter, well, 3 times in the first quarter and then a 4th time right at the beginning of the second, are within 3 points. Who do you have to thank for that? The defense and the running backs. That's pretty much it. They caught both passes behind the line of scrimmage and turned them into yards. That was all Thurman. And then Barry Foster ran the ball for the rest of the way, barreled through. You know, and the offense was responsible for 7 of the NFC's points. So it should be, you know, just strictly the offense. It's 7 to, you know, it'd be 7-3 right now if it wasn't for that George fumble. Not that the sack was George's fault, really. I mean, that they emptied the out on the offensive line with that blitz. Here's Aikman scrambling, about to hit the end of the half here in a second. Well, 4 seconds. They don't have time for a long field goal. Even with Martin Anderson, they're going to hand it off instead. Why even bother calling a timeout? Like, why? Whatever. Halftime. And yeah, like I said, I'll be doing the Colt. So next week will be the highlight reel. And you know, I'm doing these separately. Last year I had the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl on one video, but I watched both games. I was not involved in it, so I didn't really want to do a Pro Bowl mix. I wanted the last week's video to just strictly be the Super Bowl. Nice catch by Flipper in between defenders, right there. You know, I kind of wanted to have it be its own thing, and then just kind of cruise into a couple of these other video, you know, Pro Bowl, and then the highlight reel to kind of create a pseudo off season in between the 2 seasons. And oh, look at this shit! Herschel Walker fumbles, and unbelievably, the AFC has a chance to drive for the lead. Don't throw it. Just hand it off, because George is he picked a bad week to quit sniffing glue. He might, you know, I'm willing to bet he got completely shit-faced after the Super Bowl loss, just to drown his sorrows. Probably, you know, yelled at his coach, which I guess would be me. Because that's one of the things he does, is he, you know, alienates his locker room. And then goes somewhere else to fuck shit up. How was, you know, there were 2, I almost said 2 Colts, I'm just looking at the colors. There were 2 NFC Pro Bowlers all over that receiver, and he still didn't, they didn't pick it off despite all these interceptions. Hey, there's a pass to a wide receiver. Mark Jackson forgot he was even playing in this game. He's like, all I've been doing is running out there and blocking a couple of times. One thing I noticed about the 93 ROM that I found is it's not the correct schedule. It's not, I mean, they tried to, looks like they tried to get it, a lot of the games as close as they could, but because of the fact that 93 season had an 18-week schedule, I think that's the reason why, you know, a lot of liberties had to be taken, and, you know, it's gonna be weird, but, you know, it is what it is. Can't really do much about it. I mean, maybe somebody that was more advanced that could really fuck with the ROM, as opposed to mostly just changing the rosters, could have done better with that. And there is a touchdown for Thurman Thomas. And the AFC, despite turning the ball over 4 times, is leading this game. crazy stuff. But you know, it's Tecmo. Tecmo is nuts. Some of the craziest shit you'll ever see happens, you know, as far as in any football universe, you know, oftentimes happens in Tecmo. Aikman, oh, look at that. Nice fake. I hate defending that play. I always end up, you know, going the wrong way. If that, especially, you know, if the team has, and they generally do, they'll have in the playbook. Oh, look, and the NFC's going to take the lead right back here. Oh, he just missed him. Emmitt Smith. You know, these defenders are so good. You know, like the secondaries are keeping the passing games in check for the most part. Emmitt and Thurman are the, you know, they're the workhorses in this game. As far as offense is concerned, they're the ones keeping their teams afloat. AFC's going to get good field position here, though. Let's see if George can redeem himself. He says, you know what, I'll just hand it off to Barry. Speaking of Barry, yeah, that is another thing. You know, in the NFC, you got Herschel Walker, Emmitt Smith, Craig Hayward, Ernest Biner. I mean, these are all good players, and you know, definitely, you know, Emmitt belongs in the Pro Bowl. Herschel Walker, 92, you know, I think he had a fine season with Philly, and a fine couple seasons with Philly, but the fact that Barry Sanders didn't make the Pro Bowl, touchdown for Thurman, is just part of the, you know, just because it's Tecmo, you know, it's not a perfect simulation, especially when, you know, it's a hack ROM. Who knows, like, how fucked up it is, as far as, because in the 91 Tecmo, the original release of Tecmo, I noticed there wasn't as many of these weird stat discrepancies. There's a big sack by David Little, pushing them all the way back, 2nd and 19. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be 4-down territory here, and why not hand it off to Emmitt? He not only can get a lot of that yardage back, but he can also get a first down, and then some. And all by himself, basically, putting the NFC on his back and saying, I'm going to just carry all you motherfuckers. Aikman says, you know, hey, I'm pretty good too. Well, but I'll throw it to coverage. The back of the end zone. Aikman again. He's got some guys open. He's going to Hill in the end zone. There you go. He's been quiet all day. Got him at the right time. And it's going to be a photo finish here. The AFC and George, once again, everything's always comes down to the wire with Jeff George's teams, huh? Bad kick, another good return, and so there's a minute 49 left for the AFC to finish the job. He's got... Oh, he went to the wrong guy. Well, at least he's, you know, he went Mark Jackson. He got him. That he should have went to. I think it was Willie Davis who was running up the sideline at the top of the screen. They might still be. Oh no, there's that fake play fake. That's where the fumble came from last time. They can kick a field goal. It's long right now. Yeah, there you go. Get some of that yardage back. That makes sense. And, well, hey, Thurman can get you the first down on his own. Just hand it off. Just keep handing the rock to Barry and Thurman. You know that the simulation is not, you know, keeping tabs on what I've been doing because George has not been throwing to Cash, who is, you know, especially at a time like this, has been a security blanket. And he overthrows. I think that was, that might have been Jackson, I'm not sure. Oh, here comes the fucking neighborhood. It's 4th down. Why, you know... I guess you didn't want George to turn it over there. So we're gonna get overtime here, maybe? No, we're not. Jager goes off the upright. So unless there's a fumble or some kind of crazy shit here, that's gonna be the end of the game. And we got 3 seconds left. Mercy. I'm ready for, you know... They shouldn't even be overtime in Pro Bowl, in the Pro Bowl. I would have just gone for it if that would have been me anyway, if I were the AFC. I know, not like a hindsight thing, but just like, there's no need to go into overtime in any kind of exhibition. So that was it, 24-21. Jeff George, he made up for his poor first quarter, really first and second quarter. 109 yards passing, it's not good, but he did throw for more yards than Aikman did, believe it or not. Both Mark Jackson and Flipper Anderson had the exact same stat line. 2 catches for 63 yards. And they both ran well, you know. NFC had a little bit better of a day. Emmitt Smith was the MVP of the game, though. So that's it for this Just for Shits and Giggles Pro Bowl. I had said before, you know, I'll be doing the highlight package next week. Oh shit! I almost dropped my controller. So that'll do it for for this. Well, now the season as far as games go. The highlight package will conclude the '92 season, and then the following week after that, I'll get back into things with the '93 team. So that's it for this week, and I'll see you next week.